Hey guys, Aileen here from Homegrown Happiness. Welcome to May. We've had 2 frosty starts already in May, which means that winter's really close. I do love May in the garden though. I think it's really beautiful. The leaves on the trees are beautiful and they're awesome to use in the garden. So that's one of the things I'm going to do this month. I'm going to be collecting leaves every few days and adding them to my leaf mould pile. So if you're not familiar with leaf mould, it's just purely leaves that have broken down. It's a bit different to your home compost because as it's purely leaves, it's just carbon. Leaf mould is really nutrient packed. It's a great moisture retainer and the worms and the microbes in your garden will love it. It's also free to make, all you need is time. It takes about a year for the leaves to properly decompose, if not longer. I like to gather the leaves in my neighbourhood every few days because the trees will keep dropping more, and I keep them under this tarpaulin near my front door. Keeping it under a tarpaulin or covered speeds up the decomposition a little bit because you're keeping the heat in, but it's definitely not essential. You can have an uncovered leaf mould pile too. The leaves need to stay damp but not wet. You just want to keep an even level of moisture in there. I'll just keep adding leaves to this pile throughout the rest of autumn and it'll be ready to use next autumn. I've been using last year and the previous year's leaf mould in the garden. I use it as a mulch, I add it to compost. Every part of the garden would benefit from it really. In the garden I still have a bit of colour with some flowers, my lemon tree is bursting with buds. Last month's pea straw has sprouted everywhere, which is awesome. The pea shoots are wonderful in salads, and everything we don't eat will eventually become pea straw again and add nitrogen back to the soil. I have a few cauliflower make an appearance already, which is awesome. I like to keep my cauliflower heads covered because if there is a frost, it can actually affect the look and the taste of the cauliflower curd that's developing. It makes them look like really waterlogged and yellow. I usually use a clothes peg or a hair tie to keep it covered, as it's a little bit more gentle on the leaves, but this time I only had a bobby pin when I saw that they had appeared, so that's what I've used. And there are broccoli too. Broccoli is the biggest workhorse for us in the garden. We eat the entire plant of all the brassicas, but broccoli is the most amazing because once you harvest the main head, it all starts shooting off little side sprouts, which is great. My beans are looking a little pathetic now, but they're maturing nicely on the vine. I'm taking them off as they're starting to turn brown and just putting them in my dehydrator to finish off the drying. We had enough green beans this summer, so I always look forward to the end of the bean season when we can eat the remainder of these beans as mature beans. I planted garlic early April. This is a lot earlier than I did last year, but I'm just trying to see how well I can get these garlic to establish before rust hits. I'm confident it will hit because it's really hard to avoid for me these days, but if it does and they don't get to a decent size, all is not lost. It's still worth growing garlic because green garlic, when you harvest it, when it's not quite mature, it's still delicious. This is my one Tomatillo plant and it's gotten huge. We haven't had an awfully big amount of it yet, and it'll be a wait and see to see if these ones mature and swell before it gets too cold. Last year it was end of May that I harvested the majority, so hopefully it's the same this year. This is my 9-star broccoli. It's actually a perennial white broccoli and it shoots off lots of little side shoots. We had heaps of it last year, but in summer it was getting annihilated by the white butterfly caterpillar, so I chopped it right back. Now it's filling out again. I got it from Kahikatea Farm, which I'll link below. My parsnips are plumping up. I'll thin them out when they get a bit bigger. And here's another perennial in my garden. This is Yacon. It's a really sweet and juicy tuber. I like it raw, grated in salads. It's really sweet and it makes a great healthy sugar replacer because it actually regulates your blood sugar. I actually made a syrup with it last year and I made a blog post about it, so I will link that below. The syrup is really nice, but it can affect one's digestive system the same way that too many beans or the Jerusalem artichoke would, so just be aware. If you haven't eaten Yacon before, it produces 2 sets of underground tubers, the eating one and the reproducing one. This brown one here is the eating one. It tastes like a mix of celery and sweet apple and it's really juicy. The purple one is the reproducing one and that sends off shoots like these brown ones that will fatten up and become the eating Yacon. I still have my yellow zucchini, and though they look great, they'll be coming out. They only have female flowers on there now, so these little ones won't get pollinated. Although small, these will still be delicious. This month is a great time to give everything a liquid feed to give it a boost before winter. I'm going to be using worm wee, which is not actually the wee from the worms, it's just the liquid that kind of runs through the worm castings. My worm farm is old and the tap doesn't work, so it's interesting getting the worm wee out. I dilute it, not very neatly obviously, in this big water bucket. It's 25 litres big, and I dilute the worm wee to a ratio of about 1 part worm wee, 10 parts water. I had about 2.5 to 3 litres worm wee, so I just topped this up with water. This 25 litres is the perfect amount to feed the whole garden. Now coming down the stairs, here are 3 bags of horse manure. This stuff is so good. As long as it's aged properly, it's amazing in the garden. I just let it sit in these bags for about a year, and sometimes I add in lawn clippings and shredded leaves to break it down faster. The worms love it. My brassica bed in the bottom garden is doing well, and I'm kicking myself for not using this space down here earlier. I've also planted more broccoli seedlings in this flower/vegetable garden, and next spring I'll be putting way more food in here. My capsicums are doing really well, and we even had a watermelon from this bed a few weeks ago. So that's it for May's garden tour. This month I'm going to be focusing on collecting more leaves, harvesting what I can, getting the rest of the beans as they mature, and just keeping my plants fed and healthy to tackle the cold winter that's about to come. Thanks for watching, see you next time.